Hi, I'm Carl, and welcome to my little Minecraft series. Today I am showing you something that my brother and I built together. This took quite a while to build. This is a recreation of the Beach Waterpark outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. It shut down a few years back, which made us sad, but me and my brother and sister all worked here during our time in high school. And so that's what we decided to build here. I will walk you through the whole thing that we built. Again, this is survival Minecraft, Bedrock, whatever. And one thing I should note is that we did choose to select 2010. We had to pick some date because rides change and things change. So this is supposed to be what the park looked like in 2010. As we come in here, this is the main road you come in on, and back then there were a couple tiki guys up on the side. And this was a gate that you just drove under. It says welcome to paradise normally. Over on that side is a drop-off lane, and through here you will drive. The slide up there was relatively new back then. Volcanic Panic, we'll visit that in a bit. And as we come around here, here's the main gate. This is where you would pay to park, and you'd come on into parking. And pay no attention to that giant rocket in the background. So this is the whole large parking area. In real life, this part was paved, and if you went further back, it was gravel. But for now, we've just got that. And over here is the little picnic area that was outside. And there, you can see way down there, I don't feel like walking all the way over there, but there's a little guard shack that was in the middle of the parking lot between the gravel and the paved areas, and green over there. So, here's the admissions building, and normally you'd kind of walk down between here and up to admissions. You can come up to any of these to get your pass. And my sister did help with this a bit too, so she helped decorate the inside of the admissions building. Both her and I worked there at some point. I guess these are our cash register, here's the desk, some other places to sit. Can work here and sell tickets. Head back out of here. You know, it's nighttime, so I think I'm going to go to sleep. And I put in this closet a secret downstairs place just for passing the night. Survival mode. You gotta have a place to spend the night. Alright. Let's go back up and continue our tour. Great. To this side this was what I would call the season pass office and the security office. So a spot in there where you can come get your picture taken and get your season pass. And once you have your tickets, you can walk in the main gate here. Back door to get in. Little security window usually there. And I think we ought to first go to one of the most memorable places, the heated pool called the Pearl. I think this was mainly built by my brother, and he put in the crazy shape of this whole pool the way it really was. Seating all around, all the lounge chairs. And as we come all the way around in the back here, here is a pearl stuck on the wall there to represent the giant clam that had a pearl in it that was there on the real ride, the real pool. All the palm trees you see in the middle are manually hand built, but a lot of the other trees are built, just grown there. Heading back the way we came, there's admissions, American flag up there. And this is the newer slide that I mentioned called Volcanic Panic. I don't really know how the order of this whole thing's gonna go, so let's just go for it and go all the way up to the top of Volcanic Panic. It's kind of built out like this. And we made sure to build all these slides so you could actually ride them. I don't remember building this one, so I'm going to guess that my brother built this one as well. Pay no attention to the giant pirate ship. That's unrelated and just something my sister was working on, I believe, unrelated to the beach. That's what happens when you have a big shared server, is you have some background things, and that's just fine. This is quite a long slide, both in real life and especially on here. In later seasons, they did change this slide so that it ends next to the Pearl, but back in these days, it ran out all the way behind the wave pool. And instead of having a splash pool at the bottom, this was the only slide in the park that just kind of had a run out at the end, and you just jump on out. There was a little employee only building back here, which since I worked there, I've been in this building a couple times. And then back behind the wave pool, this was the south maintenance building, big garage door open. And in the winter, they would dig out all of the palm trees and they'd stick them in this greenhouse back here. So here's your greenhouse with palm trees all hanging out in it. There's all kinds of equipment and stuff stored back here. And don't pay no attention to that guy. I know you haven't seen the wave pool yet, so sorry about the order here, but this is a giant redstone device that I made that is pushing these pistons forward and out, just like our wave maker did at the beach. It does cause some lag, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now. And instead of going back the way we came, there was like a gravel road that went out here. Now, this is a representation of how some of our dimensions are off here a bit, and that's because I took a real map and the slides are in different orientations, and I angled them all to be north, south, east, west, which would make it easier to build with blocks. And so a few things get skewed a bit. If I remember, I will include in here some pictures of maps while I'm talking about that. Get some food here so I can continue going fast. And we are back outside of the drive-in gate. For employees who worked here, you might remember parking up in employee parking, which is up here. And then you would, and sorry, it cuts off. We didn't want to waste our time with a whole parking lot. And then you'd walk on this little path to get back down to where you go in for the day. We'd often cross the street here. Maybe you'd heckle the guy working in the entry area there. Heckle those admissions yuckles. And then I'm going past admissions. This was the main office for the beach, and this is where all employees had to come in every day. You can see I'm dealing with strange angles and square blocks. And we would come in here and they would see us and press the buzzer and then let us go through this door where we would clock in, and then we could go down here through the door and into our work day. Before I do that, I'll show you that I also built some of the executives' office areas. They're not fully fleshed out. I think there was a copier and the music for the place played back here. The main area here. Money room. I don't remember whose office this is, but I put a door that goes out onto a little balcony there. And then some more offices in the back here. Again, I haven't really been back there, so I didn't fill them out terribly much. Okay, we'll go back out the way we came, and I think it would be appropriate to go back through the main gate here. Here we are, admissions, through the main gate. There's the Pearl again. And as you come down here, you can go through this area. Sometimes they would rent you umbrellas or something there. A little arcade used to be on that side. This side was called Trade Winds. It was the store where you could buy all kinds of Beach Waterpark paraphernalia and bathing suits and all kinds of stuff. My sister decked this one out for us. Oops. I think that eventually became the arcade. Okay. Here's our little mobile Dippin' Dots stand. And over here is a place where I worked. This is our locker rentals. We always had a binder that we kept names in and a computer to keep track of things later. And I used chests here instead of lockers, but I thought this would let you actually use them, and that was cool. And if you worked here, then you know that the employee cafe was in the back of lockers. I don't have a lot to show back in here. It's not all decked out, but the room exists. Next to lockers, there's also the men's restroom, which is a little undersized because of the thickness of the bricks. This just got underdone a bit. There's showers and toilets back there. And head back out. And then on this side is the women's restroom, and I think it's just pretty much a mirror image of the same thing. And as mentioned before, here's the door that goes up the stairs to the main office. I hope I'm not spinning around too much. Sorry if I am. This building wasn't here in later years. This was Blue Ash Chili, at least while I was there. Get yourself a big sandwich or something. Let's see. Captain Cook's, I think, was this restaurant. And I have a lava chicken farm in here that spits out. Well, apparently there's no chicken left, but that'll automatically cook your chicken. This back area of this restaurant got used as a home base a lot while we were building this place. These represent the little tables that were down there. Okay. I think I'd like to go over this direction next, past Dippin' Dots. You can see the lazy river down here, and we'll get a better view of that as we come around. Some decking with tables on it, life jackets saved over here. This was the first aid station. I wanted that to look like a first aid cross. You can kind of see it if you squint your eyes. Another important place to me was tube rental. Does that kind of look like a tube up there? Maybe. Tube rental, $3 with a $2 deposit. And you'd walk through these gates. There's your binder and computer to write it down, and stacks of tubes all the way back. And here's our inflator that we would inflate them with. Different things went here at different times. There were life jackets, I think. Roller bowler ended up there. A few different things. And this was Kokomo Breeze. A little bit of food, often alcohol sold here. And now we get to the big old wave pool. Ah, looks nice. These rock structures that are out there weren't always in there, but they were during this 2010 time. And there was like a stranded boat up there. More lounge chairs. Now that it's getting dark, I'm going to go inside this little building, and I've got another underground place where I have a bed. Okay. For completeness sake, I'm going to come back here and show a couple more things. Again, we're back to Kokomo Breeze. And so if you look down here, you'll see the little stage. They often had bands here, reggae bands. That was fun. Another little spot here. I think there was airbrush happened over here. And then a little sand area where you could go. Another decking area. And there's stairs that connect up here back up to the Pearl. All that. There's the volcanic panic that we rode earlier. And by the way, you may have seen this a couple times, but this cell phone tower was actually there. That's the right spot, and that is part of this build. Okay, back to tube rentals. Next to it was this volleyball court. Some bleachers on the side to sit and watch. Now if you wanted to ride this black slide, you would have to come up here and grab a tube, or not a tube usually, a mat. You'd go down on a mat, and then you would take your mat with you up to Twilight Zoom. You know, before we go up to Twilight Zoom, I'll just step over here for just a second and show you there was a basketball court up here. There it is. And this was the sign that was visible from the highway that said the beach. I might stick a picture of that in the video if I remember what it actually looks like. I can put that in. This one's made using banners. So normally the highway would be right over here, but that's boring to make a highway, so I didn't. There's also a second volleyball court back here that you could get to. I think that one was a little nicer but used less often. Alright, so back up to Twilight Zoom. Up the stairs with your mat, and you can jump in. Now this was one of the hardest slides for me to build because all the blocks are black and you can't see edge lines as you're building it. And just like the real one, there were little skylight holes, although theirs were just little pinholes. And making it to the end. Get down here, give your mat to the next person, and hop on out. Another small sand area where you can hang out for a while. Real sorry if I'm forgetting something as I'm going here. Doing my best to remember all the stuff we built in. Cross a bridge here over the lazy river. Interesting seats that were around the side. Yeah, let's do it. This takes you up to two different slides, Bonsai and the cliff. The cliff was awesome. And if you came here in the winter, when they did their winter thing, you could ride sleds down temporary slides they would put down here. So we got that in there too. But otherwise this would be closed off like that. There were light posts that would go up here, round, not square, but you know, Minecraft. I think first we'll ride Bonsai. There was a traffic light here, which I've made with a banner, and when it turned green it meant time to go. You'd usually race your friend, get more air than you expect going down these bumps. Ooh, you didn't usually hit the bridge. Oh yeah, that's a good slide. Now at the time there was this guy who was known as Cliffman, and he rode this slide over here over and over and over again. Every single year, he just would ride it over and over. He'd come every weekend. And my brother has a story where he actually got the real Cliffman to ride this Minecraft version of it. This is a picture I made of Cliffman going down the cliff. This is a little joke for my brother there. Anyway, that you would go down, and if you really wanted to get some air, you sit up right about here. Sit up! And then you go flying down. There's a very small tunnel to go through. My brother has a video of Cliffman doing this, and if he ever has a chance to put that up, maybe I'll link to it in the notes. Alright, so that's the cliff. Back in 2010 it was red. Later they repainted many of these slides different colors, but the cliff was the first one to be painted in my memory. All right. They had some birds in a cage over here next to the lazy river, and I filled it with chickens. And actually, when these chickens lay eggs, there's hoppers down there that take the chickens over to the lava cooking farm over there. You also see villagers around. I put those in to just try to populate the place. Here's where you would enter the lazy river. There would be a lifeguard over there or over here, and the next people, or the people ahead of you, would drop off their tubes here, and you'd hop in. Kind of feel like I got to do this. Let's go around it. Sometimes a little water would be pouring out there. These were fences on the sides in real life with rope between the posts. That's not really a Minecraft thing, so this is what you get instead. The part of the map I'm entering now got stretched a little funny because of turning everything else sideways. But less happens in this little stretch anyway, so it's fine. This was a middle entrance exit area. I can't remember if it was always open or not. Now we're coming around kind of the back of the park here. Sometimes they had giant seahorses back here. Oh, there's an enemy. I hope he leaves me alone. He didn't. We'll just keep moving. You got some water that came on you down here sometimes that pushed out behind that ride. Typhoon. Another enemy. He's gonna get me too. Oh boy. Just get away from him real quick. One time when I was a kid, I was here for a birthday party and I lost my tooth right about here. Fell right out into the lazy river. Never found it again. True story. Alright, and here we are back at the entrance of the lazy river. I'll pop back up here just for a sec. I know we were already up here, but this was this odd little area. I never really knew what this was for, but it was a little lookout spot near the entrance. That's fine. Next, I think we ought to go over here and see these two slides. This is Watusi and Riptide. This is actually just supposed to be a thin tube, but it is very hard to make anything like that in Minecraft, so you end up with a big chunky tube. I guess I should show you. Come over here and you'd grab your two-man inner tube here, and then you could, sorry, running out of, there we go. You bring your two-man tube up here and across the rope bridge, which looked a lot cooler than this looks. And you kind of be up here. Here's Riptide. This is where you'd take your two-man tube and jump in, and maybe the worker would spin you around, throw you down here. This one's majorly the same. I don't think you can actually fit in that in here. And then, of course, once you're at the bottom, you take your tube out and give it to the next person. Also up here, there were just some random activities you could do. For example, there's just a large board. You can jump off into the water. This one had monkey bars that went out there. And this one had like the hangy chain loops. There's a bell at the end of these. It was very fun to try to climb out there and jump off grab the bell. Get the bell! In 2010, there was a log here that would spin around as you walked on it. It wasn't motorized, it just wasn't attached well. And then there were lily pads that you could attempt to jump on. Oh, I missed one. And they would kind of move around too. They were chained down. Lifeguard chair. So I'm going to go backwards a bit. I should probably find a bed. There's a lifeguard stand over here next to Watusi, and there's a bed hidden in there. Okay. There's also a zip line, and I couldn't make an angled line, so you just end up with a bunch of straight lines that from some angles look kind of like a zip line going across to nothing. The zip line was really, really awesome, but it's just too hard to recreate here with the limitations of the game. Over on this side of the lazy river, and crossing over this other part of the lazy river, we now get to Splash Mountain. And Splash Mountain had two mushrooms with water that poured over them, and kind of a mountain in the middle. And what could you do here? There's a few slide options. One of them is to come up here, and you could slide down on this nice soft slide here on your body. Another body slide was to go inside the mountain. And this one, ooh, it's tight. Pops you out down here. And finally, if you come all the way around up here, sheep, you could come all the way up here. There's like a watermill thing that used to happen up there. These two rides took red inner tubes, and you could ride these down. This was just for small kids mainly, so there's smaller tubes, not really an adult ride. Pop you out down here. Can I make it? Small detail, but there were like pipes and stuff that ran inside of here that you could see. And then this was kind of a sneaky back way that eventually showed up back to the restaurant. And for some reason there was always this weird cutout up there. I don't know what that's about. While we're here, I'll cut through the building for a second. This is where the dumpster was, behind the restaurant. Oh, soul sand in there. Another storage building. I don't think there's anything in here. That's the garage door. Ta-da. And another building here. I'd like to come at that from another angle. Let's just jump over the fence, it'll be faster. Back to the Splash Mountain Kids area. There was some additional seating you could find up on these raised areas here. Some there and some there. Real sand, or as they used to say, real surf, real sand, real fun. These were these big like sails they had that cast shadow underneath them. Again, I couldn't do really thin material to make a sail, so we got these big thick things. And this is the way up to the Makahiki Picnic Grove. I have no idea why that is there. They would have birthday parties or events here sometimes. So we made all these picnic tables around, all these shelters. Come back here, little kitchen area back there where they could serve you from. This was a pinwheel or a water wheel that would spin around. See, I got the water down one side. And that dumps down behind Splash Mountain. And just if you're not sure about your bearings, there is a driveway that goes out here to the main parking lot out that way. Why are you here? The next thing you can do here is go up to the top of one of the next most fun rides in the park, Typhoon. 3 slides that weave together all the way down. I'm not going to ride all 3 for you, but we'll ride one of them down. And just because of the complication of all of this, it ends up being one of the tallest ones here. So you get to the top and you have your 3 options of where you might want to go. My memory is that the side 2 are a little longer and the middle one's a little shorter and faster. I'll just pick a random one here. You can see a lot of the park from up here. Try not to fall out the side. There's another volleyball court down there that existed. I don't recall that one being used much. Looks like we swapped to the other side of this thing. Oh, a small tunnel on this one so you wouldn't fly out. Definitely a good one for racing a friend. But if the friend's on the middle one, they'll win. And we come down into the splash pool. Splash! So there it is. If you've ever been there, it might look kind of familiar. Alright, where are we? Cancun Cafe. Cross over the lazy river again. And here is Cancun Cafe. I think they had pizza here and drinks. Back in there. More restrooms. I don't even remember what these look like. There you go. Sinks and toilets. I'm sure women's looks the same. Indeed. Some seating over here. Okay, now we're heading into the back area here, just about. Ah, okay. Hidden Rapids. This one's kind of special. You would come down here and wait in line to get a big blue tube. And then you take your tube, walk all the way up, and across here. These were like these foam rock structures that were on this bridge. They came down later. You could go that way if you wanted to, but that's not the way to the ride. The ride's this way. And there was this crazy thing where everyone kept sticking their gum on the trees. And so I always called this the gum tree forest. And this is my representation of that. And as we come all the way around here, these rides start here. And there's 2 side-by-side slides. They have the water gushing out of a big pipe here. And you jump in your big blue tube and go down. And it was pretty common to get stuck in these pools for a while. A lifeguard walking up on the side might push you in with a pole or just let you float, or maybe you'd push yourself in. Keep going. The whole thing was concrete down in the water. Pretty unique, I think. And down at the bottom, you'd go boom, splash, splash, splash. There are these drops. That's pretty cool. Oh, this is wonderful. This is Aztec Adventure. Wait in line here. Grab your double yellow tube from the person who just got off. And now we start taking about the same path. At the time we said this was the only water coaster in the Midwest, which means it goes down and up. Back across the bridge, through the gum tree forest, but hang a left here. And up the stairs. That was if he got stuck. At the bottom of the hill, he could still get out. Sweet. So they let you go here. Oh, I think this got reversed. There was a bar that would lift up to let you through. That's cool. And then you get to go down the slide. I think this might be a problem, so I'm going to just hop back up it like this. Down the slide. And you're entering the back of the, I don't know, tiger panther. You get smacked in the face with water pouring down as you come through here. There were 3 cobra heads up there. Splash! Just turn around here and that was the big feline head. You would come splash them through, hand off your tube to the next person. These cobra tails continued down here. And this was North Maintenance, otherwise known as North. So only employees were ever back here. But I'm going to stop back here because I think it's getting dark. And I know I put a bed back here. Since so many of these slides are made out of white concrete, this was a giant concrete maker that I made. It gets it wet and it doesn't matter. Just something that's part of it. Now this very back part was heavily worked on by my brother, and he did a great job. They had some goats back here, and you could feed them. The owners had a farm back home and had some of their animals here. At least that's what we were told at one point. This is the other kids' area. It had kind of a octopus effect around it. What the heck was that called? Jollymon Shores, yes. It looks like a goat's getting away from his spot. And then back here is like the last ride, Snake River Rapids. Yeah, there was some kind of waterfall. Grab a tube here, and then you head up the long walk. Some weird Minecraft things happened here because the Minecraft biome changed, and so the trees start to look different. I think in olden days you used to start the ride here, but they did an extension to it. I think they added a crashed plane there later to look like a, you know, setting the mood. But during my time, no crash plane. Come up here, and you can ride Snake River Rapids with your tube. They added some other rides back in this area later. On really slow days, they would send employees home and this part wouldn't be open even. This is really kind of slow, lazy river through here. Really, this part was a downhill drop through this part of the tunnel. So you go through the downhill drop and splash down into the splash pool at the bottom. Give your tube to the next person and head on your way. So I think we've really seen everything that's built here. If I forgot anything, sorry about that. I've got a map here next to me. I'm just double checking. Looks like it. It might be worth showing one other thing, which is just to point out that so much of this map didn't naturally happen like this and had to be made. The entire shape of the landscape and everything was very different. Mountains had to be moved, valleys, whatever. See the creek that runs through here. The story I was told is that they used this creek to fill up the rides and wash them all out at the beginning of the year. I'm sure they filter it and clean it and all that stuff. But I think this creek was pretty helpful to their operation. Gosh, we're just plowing through here like no one ever has. What's a way to see underneath? We'll go back in over here. I just remembered that this exists, so we'll do this one. I know we were in here before, but this is just to give you a taste of how much this landscape had to be changed. Where did I just go? Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. This is just to give you a taste for how much the landscape had to be changed and built up and removed, and this is some of it. Under this part of the hill was all completely modified and changed, and a whole landscape built over the top, trees down, everything. Effort took quite a while, but there it is. I think I'll exit. That sounds like a good way to end the video, is to exit the park like I'm done for the day. We had a lot of good memories working here, some silly memories. It's a good place. Sad that it's shut down. Wouldn't look like this today anyway. There would be many changes, but a lot of them were for the best. Back through here. And you normally exit out this way, through the turnstile, bye-bye the beach. Head back to your car and head out. You know, it might be nice to do some flyovers. How about that? Let's do some fly-arounds. There we go. Pearl. Wave pool. They always said this was one of the biggest wave pools around. There it is. Twilight Zoom, the cliff. The main building there. And go up a little higher this time. Typhoon. Riptide. Oh, it's loading. Yeah, well, we didn't work on the desert. We had to build over the desert. And we can see this ride as we fly back home over it. So there you go. The Beach Waterpark, built in Minecraft. Oh, one more idea of something you might be interested in. Let's see if I can cut to that for you. This is flying back to the home base where we started, and if you watched any of the other videos that I posted, you have seen the home base. But in here, you can see a map of the Beach Waterpark that is built. Of course, the wave pool, the Pearl, a little admission building up there. The parking lots would have extended further up, but didn't want to do it. So there it is. Alright, I think that's all I've got for you on this one. I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. This was hard work, but a lot of fun to build. And now it's out there for you to see it. Appreciate you. Thanks.